Okay, so we're now looking at sizing a side stretcher. So we've fitted the legs into the seat and we've taken the measurements. Because of variation in angles and any errors that you might have made with tenons and having to adjust things, you may find that the sizes can be quite variable. So it is really important to do this stage once you've got the legs in and you can accurately measure what you need. So we're starting with one of our stretchers and we need this one to be 12 and 3/16 long. The side stretchers are going to have a centre stretcher tenoned into them, so they need to have this fat bit in the middle. And we're recommending 5/8 tenon going into an inch and a half diameter at the fattest point of the stretcher. So, what's first job?
First job is find the middle.
Great.
Right, I know it's 14 inch, so we'll go 7. Just draw that on there.
Okay. So you're going to put the score line in, because obviously score line helps us with the drilling. And you're just going to go really deep so that you can take it down to size.
Exactly,
yeah. And that's what you would normally do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if I see the score line disappearing at any time, I should just pop it back on again.
Yeah. I do like the smell of dry ash.
I do.
Yeah.
Lovely, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like nuts.
Yeah. Brings me back memories of my childhood. Probably trying to burn blunt drill bits through bits of wood.
There we go. Here we go, 1.5 inches.
Great.
Just tidy that score line up a bit now. Okay, I'll just pop back onto the roughing gouge to just take a bit of this bulk away. Do you want to set that?
Yeah, 5/8.
5/8, please.
I would highly recommend any of you to get into inches. I genuinely believe inches are a very beautiful thing. So just give it a go. Don't be scared of them.
What's not to love about a measuring system that came from the size of a grain of corn, a grain of wheat? That's where it all comes from. 1/8 of an inch is a grain of wheat.
Right, there you go. So how much is an inch?
8 grains of wheat.
There you go. Okay, so I've done this then.
Yeah, our measurement was 12 and 3/16. I'm going to do half that from a caliper on a divider, so that I get a nice accurate measurement.
Oh, okay.
Half of 12 and 3/16, 12 and 3/30.
Yeah, something like that. Half of 12 and 3... What was it again?
Half of 12 and 3/16.
Yes. Be 6.
6 and 3/30.
Yeah. And so why are you doing this?
So that we've got a nice so that's in the middle.
Right.
Rather than eyeballing your ruler along it. I mean, you can do it either way.
So this is to put the point where the bulge kind of sweeps outwards.
This is oversized at the minute. We need to make sure we put the tenon.
Oh, sorry. Yes.
Very
Genius.
important.
Yeah. So that's the whole point of this video, right?
Yeah.
Really is getting this to length, getting the center point, getting that diameter. So yeah. So you always measure from the center. Yeah. Perfect.
I just need to quickly grab a ruler. I can do that one. Okay. So I've set my dividers. I'm going to place them on the center line and just put a little mark there. I won't do the other side yet because there's still too much wood on there. Okay, so that's where our tenon needs to be.
And so some people reckon that you should make stretchers slightly longer than the distance.
Yeah.
But you're not a fan of that?
Well, it depends how much slack you need to pick up in your legs.
Right, okay. And do you think there could be a difference between, because we're using tapered joints, which are going to be much tighter, and a lot of traditional Windsor chairs would have just had straight tenons.
Yeah.
So my take on it, and this is just my take on it, is that stretching it by having the rungs slightly longer to stretch the legs out might have been a useful thing when you've got straight tenons, but probably not so much if you've got tapered tenons.
Possibly. I just think, why on earth would you put tension in something that's going to change shape anyway? Whereas it takes on more moisture and less moisture.
Yeah.
You know, it's a different size in summer to what it is in winter. And why would you want to add tension into that? Don't
bring tension into anything.
Because you're putting that tension into the board.
Yes.
Now your stretchers there, if you're using Elm, you don't have to use stretchers because the board's strong enough.
Yeah.
The stretchers there to stop the board snapping. And why would you put snapping pressures into that board?
Yeah.
With the part of the chair that's supposed to not be snapping the board. I bet that was really controversial.
I suppose it is worth mentioning though that the thickness of the board also has a very large impact. It's not just the strength, because you've got to be aware of splitting the board.
Yeah.
But actually, the longer the mortise, the stronger that joint is, and if the board is really thick, then I think stretches are a lot less important. It's not just the strength of the board, but the thickness, right?
Yeah.
I like the stretchers.
So what I will do here, at home I use something called a parting tool.
Yes.
And I would just set the size of the tenon this side of that line.
Yeah.
And then aim at it. So I'm going to size this just the other side of that line, because then I can aim at it.
Yes.
If I make a mistake, it's not in the chair.
Exactly, yeah. Great. So essentially you're sizing on the scrap bit on the end so that you've got, I suppose, a second chance to get it perfect.
Basically, yeah.
And so, because you could just taper it off to the end. I think that's what I would tend to do. So, if you know that it's scrap, then you can just put a taper on it, put your caliper along, find where the caliper makes the tight fit, and then leave a mark, and then that's where you know it is. But it is, particularly with a straight tenon like this that's going to go into the leg, you do want a good tight fit.
Yeah, what they call a push fit.
You want a push fit?
Yeah, you need a little bit of effort to get it in there.
Okay, so how much of the tenon now is down to size? So
No, this is down to size here.
On the scrap bit to the side of it.
Yeah.
So now you can blend in your curve.
Yeah.
Little top tip for you, when you're aiming for symmetry, do the side that you find hardest first, and then it's easier to just copy that on the other side.
It takes so long to realise that as well, doesn't it?
Although I suppose in reality you could just flip the bit of wood, unwind it and just flip it.
This is true.
It's a lot more noticeable on a pole lathe than an electric lathe because it's easier to move your body around with an electric lathe. But when you have to treadle...
I can stand like that on my electric lathe.
Yes.
Good finish.
Yeah.
It's a difficult treadle, that. Yes, my opinion of electric lathes has changed a lot since I got one.
So what's that line that you've just drawn there?
So I know that my tenon's the right size there.
Yeah.
So if I cut that line away...
Then it's going to be too small. Yeah, it's good. That's a good technique. So, and I suppose it's worth saying actually, for a real beginner, when it comes, it's not like spoons. When it comes to joinery, one shaving too much and that can be too far, right?
Oh, yeah,
so
yeah.
don't keep on aiming for kind of the perfect form at the risk of ruining it.
Yeah.
I suppose if the tenon, no, there is no going back.
There isn't.
You can't drill a smaller
on.
hole. So you'd have to dowel the hole and re-drill it and then re-measure it. You'd be better off just making a new one of these.
You really would, yeah.
So you've got to be very careful with these tenons. They're not like the tapered tenons. They're very unforgiving. And
They are.
you want a nice push fit.
Yeah. I think it's called letting the wood decide.
Let the wood decide.
Don't do that.
No.
You impose your will on this piece of wood or it won't be the right size.
Don't let the wood decide. Sorry. I thought you were being all hippie.
No.
No, the opposite.
You know the odd-shaped spoons where the tree decided?
Yes.
Or not sharp enough tools, whatever you call it.
Right. So now it's just a case of doing the same on the other side.
Yeah, I'm just going to take a little bit of material away first so that I don't keep having to put that score line back on. Okay, so I'll just take my measurement again. I'm on the score line there. And I'm on the tool rest, so I know it's in a straight line. And then I'll just make a little dot of that. Keep an eye on that dot. And then score it.
Great. So it's basically just the same thing now on this side.
Yeah.
You've got the added benefit of being able to mirror the other side. And do you just take it off with the score lines and just saw it, or do you try and remove some more material?
I will. Yeah, it's quite hard to saw to a score line.
Yes.
So I will just maybe make them. Well, you see how they're level there.
Yeah.
You wouldn't. If you were to cut that tenon to there and leave this full piece on here,
Yeah.
you'd have real difficulty cutting
Totally. So we'll get it down to size, and then we'll come back and show you taking the ends off.
it. Yeah.
And then that's our stretcher done.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's all down to size now. We've
Yep.
got, it's looking very nice.
Thank you.
So now we just need to remove some of the waste, square the end and take it off.
Oh no, because we've left that parallel, that's okay. It's if we'd left this as a chunk and we'd got a direct wall there, that would
Right.
have been really hard to cut against.
So that's done and we're
Yeah.
just going to saw.
Yeah, I'm going
Great.
to make that. The very last thing you do is you just put a tiny little chamfer on the end of your tenon so it'll go in a bit easier.
Perfect. So let's go and get these fitted now
Yep.
on the undercarriage, and we can then size the centre
Yeah.
stretcher.
Yep.
Great.
Brilliant.